A few meeting reminders. Board members, please state your name for the record. Staff, please state your name and job title for the record. And a live audio stream has a 30-second delay, I believe, from live proceedings. If there's nothing else, I'm going to ask you all to please stand if you're able and join Member Wagner in the pledge.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please join me. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Member Wagner. We do not have any special calendar matters, which brings us to the consent calendar. All matters on the consent calendar, that would be items 1 and 2 today, are to be approved in one motion unless a committee member or member of the public requests separate action on the specific item. Do I have any requests from the committee? No, sir. Seeing none, do I have any requests from the public?
There are none, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'll entertain an action on this then, a motion.
Director Hernandez, I'll accept the minutes as presented.
Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the consent calendar, items 1 and 2? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Matter carries unanimously of members present. Regular calendar, item 3, this is the draft 2022 State Route 91 Implementation Plan. Staff will present this item. CEO Johnson, do you have any kickoff comments?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Just very quickly that we're very pleased to be here. It's a collaborative effort between RCTC, OCTA, and of course Caltrans, and Allison Army from the OCTA staff will make the presentation today.
Excellent, thank you. Go ahead.
Morning, Vice Chair Murphy and committee members. I'm Allison Army, Principal Transportation Analyst with OCTA's Planning Division. This morning I'll be presenting our update to the State Route 91 Implementation Plan for this year. As required by statute, the SR 91 implementation plan is updated on an annual basis by OCTA and RCTC, and this provides a compilation of projects within the corridor from I-15 in Riverside County to SR 57 in Orange County. And we do this in collaboration with Caltrans Districts 8 and 12, as well as TCA and the corridor cities. The implementation plan began way back in 2003, and since then, 10 planned projects have been implemented, including rail, transit, and highway. Those 10 projects represent an investment of nearly $2 billion between the two counties. The successful completion of these projects has resulted in the addition of almost 70 lane miles, which has led to improved traffic flow throughout the corridor. The improvements within the corridor have helped alleviate the effects of population growth and have facilitated connectivity between the two counties by enhancing capacity and improving mobility. The plan is organized into 3 sections. We have the Orange County projects, Riverside County projects, and Bi-County projects. And this slide lists the projects within Orange County. We have the Measure M2 project on the 91 between SR 57 and just east of SR 55, and this is currently in the design phase. Also included are 2 Metrolink related projects, which are the Anaheim Canyon Metrolink station improvements and the Metrolink rail station in Placentia. Riverside County projects include the 1591 Express Lanes connector. RCTC has amended their design build contract for this project to include the extension of a second eastbound 91 Express lane through the I-15 interchange to join directly to the HOV lane east of Promenade Avenue. Other Riverside County projects include the 7191 interchange improvement project and improvements east of I-15. We have 2 bi-county projects that benefit both Orange and Riverside counties. The 24191 Tolled Express Connector is currently in the final design phase, with construction anticipated to begin in 2023. And RCTC is moving forward with the PAED phase next fiscal year for the eastbound 91 lane addition, also known as 91 Eastbound Corridor Operations Project, or 91 ECOP. RCTC did perform preliminary traffic analysis, which indicated that capacity improvements that are provided by the I-15 Express Lane Southern Extension are needed on southbound I-15 prior to construction of the 91 ECOP to avoid traffic backing up on the eastbound 91. To address the project sequencing, about 4 or 5 years back, OCTA, RCTC, Caltrans, and TCA came to a consensus for projects to be implemented in the order shown here. They reached this consensus while taking into consideration traffic operations and dynamics, as well as project readiness, construction, and community impacts. So the recommendation before you today is just to receive and file the plan as an informational item. We do update this plan on an annual basis, so OCTA staff will continue coordinating with RCTC, monitoring project progress, and getting ready for next year's update. That concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the committee? Do we have any questions from the public?
There are none, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. I just, I think I brought this up the last time as well, that I still see the ICE project still listed, even though the location is no longer viable. At some point, will we be updating, at least, making it more of an idea versus this is an outlet, because that outlet's not there anymore?
Sure. For the purposes of this plan, we did do a land use analysis for the eastern terminus of the Irvine-Corona Expressway as it was proposed in the concept. We did find that the land use is incompatible with the concept. So it wouldn't be a part of this plan, but perhaps I can turn it over to our CEO to describe how this committee or another committee would like, if it pleases the committee to analyze that project further. It wouldn't be a part of this plan because this is just like an update.
Sure.
But
If I could, through the Vice Chairman, I think Ms. Mayor and I would agree that if the committee would like us to, we can begin the process of formally removing that through all of the plans, because it's in this plan, it's been in other plans, and we can start that process as we go forward, if that's the direction the committee would like.
I just don't, there's not an opportunity, there isn't a possibility. So unfortunately, I've had a member of the public that reached out and, I sent, oh, here's a copy of the plan. And then they said, oh, I'm really happy to see, but where is it going to go? And I see it says Cajalco, and it's not possible anymore. So yeah, it'd be good to at least make it realistic. Okay.
Any other comments on this? I'm going to say we've got collective direction to go ahead then with that process.
And I think we would work collaboratively, I think I'm on, to make sure that we, again, take all the proper steps to formally remove it as we go forward.
All right. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, thanks, Ms. Army. Appreciate it. No actions required on this particular item since it's informational. Discussion item 4, 91 Express Lanes update. Joint staff presentation here as well, Mr. Avila and Ms. Croson. Kirk, go ahead.
Good morning, Vice Chairman Murphy and members of the committee. I'm Kirk Avila, General Manager of OCTA's Express Lanes programs, and I'm here this morning with Jennifer Crossan, who we're going to be doing, as you mentioned, Vice Chairman Murphy, a combination presentation on an update on the operations of the 91 Express Lanes and some statistics. I'm going to handle the first part of the presentation, and Jennifer's going to handle the second part of it. Since we last met in March, several events have occurred with regards to the express lanes. First off, traffic volumes in both Orange and Riverside County are at historic highs. OCTA has been in operation with the 91 express lanes for the past 27 years, RCTC with the past 5 years. So in that time period, we've experienced at the high level, and you'll see some more details on that and some of the numbers as I progress through the charts. But this is not the case throughout the state as well as throughout the nation. Not a lot of entities or toll systems are back to their pre-COVID levels, but we have, with respect to toll volumes, reached that point. As a result of that, our toll revenues have been increasing steadily with that. In early March, right at our last advisory committee meeting, we did deploy a new back office system and customer service center operation. And as a result, we transitioned to a new joint contract with OCTA, RCTC, and RCT and Coffee Route on March 7, our operator. At the same time, we also launched a new website, the 91 Express Lanes website, once again, a joint venture. And this website has an updated look, some new functionality, and it makes it a little bit easier for responding to violations. The next several slides, I'm going to go over the traffic volumes on a monthly basis, separated by Orange County on one slide and Riverside County on the next slides. For the most part, the trends are pretty much the same, whether it's in Orange County or Riverside County. But on this particular slide, on slide 3, we take a look at the Orange County segment, and we compare the volumes over the past 4 years on a rolling 12-month basis. So the rolling 12 months ends on April 22nd. So if you look on the graph on the horizontal axis, you do have data from May of 2021 all the way through April of 2022. The black line on the very top represents that most current 12-month period. And as you can see from the yellow box, our 12-month ending April 22nd, April 2022, traffic volumes totaled about 19.7 million. And you can see the percent change from the previous time periods, the same 12-month period, whether it was 2021, 2020, or 2019. So comparing to the past 3 years, we've been at very historic highs. If you do look in January, there is a slight dip, and that was a result of a couple things. There was a number of closures on not only the Orange County side, but the Riverside County side for a number of projects. One was the 91 corridor operations project that entailed some closures on the Orange County side as well as Riverside side. And we also had some closures related to an OCTA specific project, the implementation for our gantry projects that are at the entrance of each of the facilities. This next slide shows the same information, however, on the Riverside County segment. So once again, you can see the black line representing the most current 12-month period. If you look at the box in the yellow, the traffic volumes on the Orange County side, or on the Riverside County side, totaled 16.8 million, rounding up. And you can see the percentage change from the prior fiscal years as well. There's the same dip in January that's represented there on the graph. This next graph takes a look at the data in a slightly different format, and it looks on a weekly traffic volumes going back a little bit more than the past 2 years. You can see on the far left of the graph that the dip that occurred in late March, early April, we did drop pretty significantly, about an 80% drop from our previous highs in 2019. And that drop occurred over a few week period. After that point in time, there was an increase in weekly traffic volumes. And then we did see another dip, a second wave related to the pandemic in the November, December 2020 time period. After that, we had pretty strong growth in 2021, and then you see the dip once again in the January time period, January 22 time period, as I mentioned. As I mentioned earlier, the traffic volumes have surpassed on the Orange County side the pre-COVID levels. The bars on the far right exceed the couple bars on the far left. Once again, this is the same information, however, shown on the Riverside County segment, shows the same trends. However, instead of an 80% drop, the RCTC volumes dropped about 84% from their 2019 highs. So a pretty significant drop, shows the same trends of growth in 2020, the dip in the end of 2020 in December and in November. And then 2021, you had the strong growth as well. The previous charts showed traffic volumes. These next several slides are going to show what that looks like with respect to toll revenues with the same sort of formatting. So the slide here on slide 7, the information here in graph on slide 7 shows the rolling 12-month period once again. And if you focus in on the box, our toll revenues on the Orange County segment totaled approximately 60.4 million. And you can see the percent change with respect to the prior 12-month periods. You do see the dip in the January as a result of the lower traffic volumes. But all in all, the black line is higher than the last 4 years rolling 12-month period. This next slide shows the same information, however, separated by the Riverside County segment. You do see that the 12-month ending toll revenues was about 61.3 million. That revenue is higher than the Orange County segment, and you can see the comparison a little bit different than on the Orange County side, where the black line on top intersects quite a bit with the orange line. And the orange line represents the period of 2019 and 2020. At that point in time, toll rates, this is for the majority of the part, pre-COVID, toll rates on particular hours were higher than they are today. Therefore, that's why you see the toll revenue line intersecting quite a bit. Moving forward, as traffic volumes continue to grow on the Riverside County segment, you'll see that that black line will surpass all other lines on the page. Once again, this takes a look at weekly toll revenues as opposed to monthly toll revenues. Shows the same sort of formatting. But with respect to the declines, that big dip on the left-hand side of the page, that dip was 77% on the Orange County side. And then you can see the increases in late 2020, the full increases in 2021, and then the first 4 months of this calendar year showed pretty strong growth. We are in the Orange County side at levels that have surpassed the pre-COVID levels. We were averaging about $1 million per week in toll revenues, and we have surpassed that on a consistent basis over the past several months. This next graph shows the RCTC segment. With respect to the declines, that deep decline in the April time period was about a 91% drop off in a period of a couple weeks. Very significant. And then you see the same sort of trend with respect to the growth in 2021 and then 22. So the first part of this presentation this morning really talked about what we've seen over the last couple years, the impacts of the virus, the growth, and where we're at today. But the next couple slides are really going to see where that growth has come about, the recent growth. So what this slide shows is a comparison of February 2019, and I'll describe that as pre-COVID, and compared with February 2022. I don't want to say post-COVID since we're not we're not done with the virus, but after the impacts that we had early on. The blue bars indicate the 2019, and the gray bars 2022. This is focusing in on the Orange County segment. And you can see for a typical week, if you take the data for a typical week, we had 14.3 on the far left, 14.1% of the traffic in February 2019 drove on a Monday. The next day, it was 15.4, and you can see that growth, and you can see that Fridays were our most heavily traveled day on Orange County. And then you see the weekend travel. As a result of this new data that we're seeing and the growth that we're seeing, there's been tremendous growth on the weekends. So you can see a jump from 12.8 to 15.4 on Saturdays and 8.8 to 10.8 on Sundays. Very large growth. So with the exception of Monday, you saw as a percent the traffic volumes go down, the growth of weekly travel on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays, and you saw the growth on Saturdays and Sundays. Now that's the same on the next slide, which is Riverside County side. However, including Monday's traffic as a percent of the weekly travel went down every day of the week, and the growth was a little bit higher on Saturday and Sunday than it was on the Orange County side. Now, one thing of note on both the Orange County side as well as the Riverside County side, Thursdays used to be our second heavily traveled day. Now Saturdays are on both the Riverside County side and the Orange County side, the second highest traveled day when you look at the trips on a week. The last slide I'm going to cover before I turn it over to Jennifer shows, the previous slide took a look at the weekly, the weekly shift of travel. And this slide focuses in on the weekday, looking at the Orange County segment and similar trends on the Riverside County segment, where the blue bar, or the blue line represents February 2019, the orange line represents February 2022, and it compares the travel on a typical weekday. And on the bottom, you see the hours of the day, starting at the midnight to the left and going to the end of the day on the right. Westbound is shown on the left, eastbound is shown on the right. So what this information tells us is that people on the westbound side are starting their travel a little bit less, or a little bit later in the morning, but there is tremendous growth on the westbound trips, and that shoulder period is extending out a lot further than it was previous to the coronavirus. On the right-hand side, you see the eastbound. There's not much change. However, there is a slight shifting of the peak period times where people are starting to go home a little bit earlier in the afternoon. So this is showing where our travel is changing. The travel patterns are changing. We're seeing more weekend travel. We're seeing more different travel throughout the day. And I'm sure you recognize that as you're traveling to your work place of office. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer to handle some of the operational aspects. Do you want to take questions at this part, or do you want to wait to the very end?
Any questions? Questions? Think we're good so far?
Thank you, Kirk. I'm Jennifer Crossan, Director of Toll Operations for Riverside County Transportation Commission. And my clicker. As discussed earlier, the transition from the old back office system to the new system for the 91 Express lanes occurred over the first weekend in March. In fact, we began that transition the day of our last 91 Advisory Committee meeting on March 4th. The new back office system has more functionality, including a new customer service website, a new phone system, customer self-service features, a case management system, and updated security features. As with most software deployments, there have been some challenges since the deployment. Staff from both agencies meet on a regular basis with our operators to keep abreast on the status and resolution of any pending issues. With the new system, the agencies also transitioned to a new joint operating agreement with Cofer USA. The new operating agreement contains stronger penalty provisions than our previous agreement. Although there is a couple-month grace period to allow them to transition the system, not meeting performance measures will trigger penalties that the agencies can deduct from our invoices for non-performance. Lastly, both agencies are seeking Commission Board approval for our respective 91 Express Lanes budgets. For OCTA, the 91 Express Lanes operating budget proposed for 2023 is $56.8 million, and for RCTC, it's $40 million. This slide shows the key performance measures in the operating agreement with Cofer USA and the contractor's performance to date for the month of April. They had trouble meeting the requirements related to the call center performance due to backlogs and work from the transition and adjusting staff to using the new system. These measures have improved in May and are continuing to improve, and staff is monitoring them closely. Cofer is fully staffed and working hard at this. This table will be included in our joint monthly reports for your future reference. This slide shows the growth in active accounts and transponders over the past 12 months. The rate of growth remains constant as it has for years. I think the only bump in the last 10 years in the growth that was out of norm was when the RCTC segment was opened. Looking ahead, this slide provides information on upcoming activities that both OCTA and RCTC are working on. Both agencies continue to monitor traffic levels and adjust tolls according to our respective toll policies. Both agencies are applying the cost of living adjustment called for in our toll policy on July 1 of 2022. As I stated earlier, we're working with Cofre to resolve issues with the new back office system. We have spent considerable effort working with legislators during this last quarter and the California Toll Operators Committee on proposed legislation to minimize impacts to the express lanes. At the next advisory committee meeting in October, staff will report on any toll-related legislation that is passed and signed by the governor and potential impacts to our operations. Staff from both agencies continue to work on the 241-91 Express Lanes project with Caltrans and TCA. And RCTC is working on the 1591 North Direct Connector that was in the implementation plan, which is estimated to open late 2023. And that's all I have. Do you have any questions?
Questions of staff?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have any public question or input on this item?
No, Mr. Chairman.
All right. That completes the discussion item since this is informational. Move on to public comments. Madam Clerk, are there any public comments?
No public comments.
All right. General Manager's report for Orange County Transportation Authority.
Good morning again, Mr. Vice Chairman and committee members. Kirk Avila, General Manager. I have a few items to report on. On April 1st, 2022, Fitch Ratings affirmed OCTA's 91 Express Lanes ratings at A+, with a stable outlook. The first paragraph of the ratings rationale from the press release states, the A+ rating is supported by OCTA's long history of strong operating performance, consistent revenue generating capabilities, and solid long-term prospects for continued traffic growth. The facility is further strengthened by complementary connecting managed lanes operated by the Riverside County Transportation Commission. So I wanted to thank RCTC for that. A few of OCTA's board members, including Mr. Vice Chairman Murphy and the Vice Chairman of the OCTA Board, Director Hernandez, will be traveling back to New York with our Chairman of our Finance Administration Committee with several OCTA staff to meet with the rating agencies and financial institutions in a couple weeks to update them on our programs and services. Both Jennifer and I gave a report on the 91 Express Lanes and our operation. So I wanted to slightly deviate and just transition really quickly and provide some information on OCTA's 405 Express Lanes that is currently being built. Since our last meeting here with our advisory committee, OCTA has been working with our operator on the development of a new back office system for that facility. We've held many workshops and reviewed documentations and how the system's going to operate. We've also met with our contractor and our building owners of our new lease facility to complete the initial design for our customer service center, which is located off of Harvard Boulevard and the 405 on Scenic Drive in the city of Costa Mesa. The 405 Express Lanes are scheduled to open and begin operations at the end of late 2023. Mr. Vice Chairman, that concludes my comments. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Seeing none. Thank you very much, Kirk. Item 7, this is the toll operations report from Riverside County Transportation Commission. Ms.
Thank you.
Crossman?
Jennifer Crossan, RCTC Toll Operations Director. Much like OCTA, Fitch has requested information from RCTC just this week so they can issue a rating update for the 91 Express Lanes. We'll report on the outcome of that at our next meeting. As I just mentioned, we are working on the implementation of the 1591 North Direct Connector and the expansion of the exit to McKinley to 2 lanes, which is expected to open late 2023. And as Kirk talked about the 405, we also opened the 15 express lanes, or we opened the 15 express lanes just over a year ago in April of 2021. The 15 express lane transactions are processed by a back office operated by RCTC and separate from the 91 express lanes. The Express Lanes has its own website, call center, back office, and traffic operations center. The 15 Express Lanes and 91 Express Lanes share a walk-in center. This allows customers from both the 15 and the 91 to receive customer service from one location, and this has worked out well since we've returned post-COVID. The Express Lanes have performed well today despite opening in the midst of a pandemic. Traffic to date has been 9% lower than projected, while revenue has been 40% higher than projected. The higher than projected revenue is largely due to high toll rates in the southern segment between the 91 and Cajalco Road, which experiences large volumes during the peak period traffic. The 15 express lanes are dynamically priced. The pricing adjusts according to traffic density in each of the 8 segments of the express lanes. RCTC is currently constructing an interim auxiliary lane south of the express lanes to improve the throughput of traffic in both the general purpose lanes and the express lanes. And that's all I had today. If you have any questions.
Questions? Thank you for that report. Brings us on to item 8. This is the committee members' reports. Any committee members? I'll look to my left. Reports today. To my right? Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. My name is Ray Marquez from SBCTA, and I just got a series of questions. Obviously, the 71 does impact our city and our county. I want to thank you, first of all, for State Route 71 and also 91, the interchange, for making those improvements hopefully in the near future. Appreciate that. But my concerns are with the growth in San Bernardino County, LA County, heading southbound from the 10 freeway, 60 freeway to the 70, to the 91, and the Riverside County line is being impacted drastically. And again, I know it's going to probably take new monies, because I would imagine Riverside County monies is probably going to be used for other jobs. But my concerns are, this organization, what are we looking at? Is there anything in the future that maybe we can improve the last 3 miles from San Bernardino County to the 91 freeway? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for the question. Ann Mayer, Executive Director of the Riverside County Transportation Commission. So the 7191 interchange project is probably going to bid next Thursday. So we're waiting for the final sign-off from Federal Highway Administration so we can advertise it. So the 7191 connector is advertised, will be advertised next week. So we would expect construction to start in late 2022, early 2023. That connector will provide more efficient access, improved safety for the connection eastbound 91 to the northbound 71. Right now, traffic having to make that movement has to go through a very tight it's an old loop ramp. Traffic slows down. There are safety issues associated with that. So the 7191 will help the connectivity between the 91 and the 71 and improve travel to the your city as well as those to the north. With respect to widening of the 71 itself, there is no widening of the 71 as a part of that project. While widening the 71 in Riverside County is part of the Measure A expenditure plan, it is not currently in the Commission's 10-year delivery plan. So any work on that project is likely not to occur until post-2029, probably in the last 10 years of the measure from 2029 to 2039. So there are no immediate plans to do anything on the 71 in Riverside County other than the 7191 interchange project.
Thank you. Any other comments, reports? Yes, ma'am.
Because you brought that up, I just thought I'd share something. Those of you know, I've been a very strong advocate of being frustrated with the disgrace of the mural on the Prado Dam. We have had our meetings geared up. We will be looking at a groundbreaking to begin the project of taking off the lead paint, probably end of August, beginning of September, and hopefully that will be done by March of 2023. So at this time, the biggest challenge, as you don't know, is it's the lead paint, so nothing can be done until that's completely removed. It's been working with the Army Corps of Engineers. I've been working on this for more than a decade, and I'm just ecstatic. I know it's maybe something simple, but we talk about the 91, how many people, hundreds of thousands of people look at that, and it just is not the way we want the look of our residents to see as they enter into the Inland Empire. So I just wanted to share that. And there's been a lot of talk, and I'm just confirming it's no longer talk, the action's starting to happen. So I'm excited.
Very good, very good. Yes, sir.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Marquez, for bringing that up. That's something that I get asked about quite a bit from our folks that are in Chino Hills. And And I think Ms. Crossman made a comment about there's some legislative matters that are very, very, very important. And I really hope that folks are paying attention to some of the bills that are sitting in the Assembly right now that would prevent anything like that from ever happening, ever. Especially, there's a few from Assemblymember Friedman and from Garcia that would prevent us from really doing the job that we're supposed to be doing here and on our respective agencies. So, I tell everybody that I know and my colleagues and cities around me to make sure that we voice our opinion opposing those bills that would keep us from, really impacting the traveling public. And I've told my state colleagues as well that it's about time that they start letting the public know, educating the public on why they're doing these things, why they don't want to improve they want to make it harder to improve our freeways and even put in toll lanes that everybody hates. But obviously our revenues are up and our travel times are up. It's needed. And those legislative items will keep those things from ever happening. And if we don't find ways to advocate for both of for all of our constituents, that, we're going to be in a heap of trouble. And folks, I think I made the comparison to the frog in a pot that, folks don't know. We need to let them know as well. Thank you.
Thank you all. Seeing no other comments, I'm going to look to our general counsel. Do we have a need for a closed session today, Mr. Donich?
Not this morning, Mr. Chairman or Vice Chairman.
All right, thank you very much. With that, if there's nothing else for the committee, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting. It concludes the committee meeting today. The next regularly scheduled meeting of this committee is set for 9 a.m. on Friday, October the 7th. And with that, thank you and wish you all a great weekend. Take care.
Yes, sir.